Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the BSC Expo 2022 seminar room. Coming up today and tomorrow, we've got a great series of talks hosted by various equipment providers and cinematographers, etc., from around the UK and elsewhere. But to start us off, I'd like to introduce the first panel of the weekend: Protect and Empower Mental and Physical Safety on Set. Please welcome the host for today's talk, Joanna Vasanth, the founder and CEO of MVP Media. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us for this very important seminar about crew safety, exploring the mental and the physical safety whilst working on productions, from pre-production all the way to post. My name is Joanna, as we've already heard, and I'm the CEO at MVP Media. MVP is an organization that works with disadvantaged young people and young people from the marginalized communities to get them into the creative industries with a focus on music and media. I have just stepped in because our original chair, Kate Roll from the Digital Orchard Foundation, had COVID. So, yeah, here I am. So, we're going to be discussing how safety, mental health, and discrimination are closely linked, raising awareness of the reality faced by a huge number of people in our industry, and how we must take collective responsibility for positive change in regards to harassment and systematic biases in our industry, which continue to make the industry an unsafe place for so many. I'm joined by a fantastic panel of experts representing tools, guidance, and solutions in regards to mental health, physical safety in our industry. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome our guests: Sam from Milsome Foundation.
Hello.
Leo from 6 Feet from the Spotlight.
Hello.
Tracy from Film and TV Charity.
Good morning.
And Kate from Call It App.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So, before we start talking to you, Sam, let's start with a film from the Milsome Foundation and about the work that they do. First.
Hello, my name is Rory Kinnear, and I am patron of the Milsome Foundation. Mark was one of our industry's most respected and talented camera operators, working at the highest level for over 30 years. In November 2017, he was killed on set in Ghana, shooting a car stunt that went tragically wrong. At the inquest into Mark's death, the coroner concluded that on that set, the risk of Mr. Milsome being harmed or fatally injured was not effectively recognised, assessed, communicated, or managed. The purpose of this course is quite simply to ensure that no crew member or performer is ever killed or injured again because a risk is not effectively recognised, assessed, communicated, or managed.
We all have a moral, legal and economic reason to manage risk and work safely.
It's important not only for physical crew, but for broadcasters, financiers, executives, producers.
No department is exempt from health and safety, no matter how experienced the crew. Not stunts, not special effects, not weaponry.
I was asked to become the Foundation's patron partly because I lost my own dad, the actor Roy Kinnear, as a result of an accident on a film set in 1988. There were many promises to change health and safety following the accident, but sadly, over the years, little was done.
Bullying, harassment and discrimination are unacceptable in any workplace.
Make it clear that as a crew you expect and demand an inclusive and comprehensive safety brief before any stunt or dangerous shot. No matter how important, experienced or talented someone is, they cannot make time go faster or slower.
This course hopes to be a line in the sand for the kinds of on-set failures that led to Mark and my father's deaths. It is not seeking to place health and safety awareness above creativity or workflow. Rather, it is to establish a need for the two to go hand in hand, promoting smart, safe decisions in advance of and during each productive working day.
A producer might plead with an exhausted crew to work for another hour or two beyond what was agreed.
But if they genuinely feel that it's being asked of them too often, someone needs to speak up.
30% of crew said they'd often felt in danger of falling asleep at the wheel. You must have a break of at least 11 hours. If you say nothing, do nothing, then nothing will change.
The information in this course is current, modern, and will serve as a refresher for those who have worked in the industry for decades, as well as inspiring a new generation to be safe.
Speaking up can help strengthen the bond that already exists between crew, looking out for each other, allowing everyone to go home safely at the end of the day, as they'd expect to do in any other profession.
We've tried to make this an enjoyable, short, focused learning experience. If taken in one sitting, it will last approximately 90 minutes, but you can also stop and start, watch it on your phone, tablet or computer, and complete it at a pace that suits you.
You have actual physical options to make a change in a completely safe, secure and anonymous way.
Rules and regulations change regularly, and you should check the BSC website for the current agreement.
Don't blag it. Don't exaggerate your own experience, or you yourself will become a hazard.
And you should be aware that after any accident there can be an investigation to clarify and justify the claims made on a CV or show reel.
You can also find out more through Screen Skills, an organisation that helps and supports those in the industry, especially those just starting out.
The aim of the Mark Milsome Foundation is to update and educate, to empower and protect you and your colleagues. Thank you again for taking this course and helping prevent injury and death in the film and television industry in the future.
So Sam, why did you make this film?
Well, this film is a trailer for a course. The course, which is our online safety passport course, was made because from Roy Kinnear to Mark Milsome to Helena Hutchinson, people are being killed on set. They're going to work and they're not coming home. I mean, serious injury and fatal accidents that could be prevented if health and safety was properly being adhered to. We didn't set out to make a course. We set out to try and find out what the state was in terms of health and safety in the UK. Mark was killed on a set in Ghana, actually, not actually in the UK, but starting here in the UK, talking to crew and productions to find out what's going on. We had over 5,000 comments back. And those comments are all on our website, and I urge everyone to go and read them because it's really worrying to read. Crew were telling us that they don't feel safe, that they're not supported, that health and safety is a box-ticking exercise that actually causes more problems than even if it wasn't there. And that, going back to the theme of this seminar, of this panel today, 85% of the respondents said that issues relating to stress and mental health are not being addressed. And we know the association between mental health and physical health. On top of that, not just being at work, but when they leave work, the abuse of working hours leading to accidents that aren't even recorded by the film and TV industry as accidents are taking place because people are too tired driving home from work, being denied accommodation when they've been working till 4 o'clock in the morning, and many of them, as you heard from that film, feeling like they're going to fall asleep and have an accident. So in response to that, we made this course. It was made, it's very different to other courses that are out there because this was made in response specifically to the needs of crew. And not only that, it was made by crew. So Kirk, who's a former chairman of the Mark Milsome Foundation, has worked in film and TV for over 30 years in all departments, working across TV, film and commercials. And he made this in a way that he knew would be engaging to crew. Because yes, health and safety is built into productions, but it's built in a way that is not engaging. It's a piece of paper sometimes that people don't read. It's something that you're doing to cover your back. It's something that's somebody else's responsibility. What we heard from crew is that they want to take responsibility, but no one's telling them how, no one's showing them how. And we believe that this safety passport needs to become mandatory. There should not be a film or TV program being made where this has not taken people have not done this.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what the foundation is offering the industry right now? You mentioned the passport.
Yes, so it's a 90-minute course that we've created. It's online. It costs less than the price of a pizza. We are urging productions, broadcasters, streamers to build into their commissioning. We want it to become mandatory. We want everyone that is involved in a production to take the same course, so everybody's speaking the same language, so everybody understands where they're coming from. One of the really worrying things that came out of the survey and that we try and address in this, my colleague from Call It will be talking about this, is that people are scared to speak up. They see a problem, they don't know what to do, they don't know who to talk to about it. They're often freelancers, they maybe are new to the industry, and they don't know what to do. If everybody is doing the same course, everybody will be on the same page, everybody will have the same language and the same understanding. 90 minutes, online, there's not really a reason not to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's the question. A reality faced by many crew is time of training, time in training. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the training works that will mean that more people can make time to take it?
Sure. Well, a number of things that we're doing there. One is that we're working with the film and TV schools and colleges to try and get it built into their courses, so anybody coming into the industry, new people, will have done the passport. That will obviously doesn't solve the problem, but it will mean people coming through will have done it. For existing crew members, we've tried to make it as cheap as possible. It's online. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on your tablet. You can stop and start it, and you can go back to it. You can do it, and then a year later, you can go back and refresh. But more importantly is we want productions to build into the time that the crew are working for them. Yeah, they can afford to pay their crew 90 minutes to take this course, and that's what we're hoping will happen.
The tragedy... Can you? Yeah, there we go. The tragedy that led to the setup of the Mark Milsome Foundation in 2017 was sadly mirrored last year by the death of Helena Hutchins. You've been working tirelessly for 4 years, helping teach crews about physical safety. But what do you think needs to be done to protect people in the future by the people in charge of productions?
Well, as I said before, it has to become mandatory. It has to be something that I think you need things to come from both sides. So we need crew to have the confidence to speak up. We need to give them support and tools to help them speak up. We need to give them things like this course, which gives them the knowledge and the education and the confidence to speak up. And at the same time, we need to make it mandatory, and we need to get the people in charge to step up and make a difference. And not just, I mean, at the moment, health and safety is so much tied into insurance policies. It's not tied into actually protecting crew. So we need to change that mindset.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. Can I say one last
thing? Yeah,
of
course.
That for anybody who's attending the BSC Expo, even though it only costs the price of a pizza, we're making it even cheaper for you. Please take this course. BSC Expo is a code that you can use until the end of this month to get a 25% discount.
And you all have a card on your on your chairs, so take a look at that. Leo.
Hello.
It was another industry tragedy that led to the setup of 6 Feet. And can you tell us more about this? Because I think it's really important that everyone is aware of the real and current dangers related to mental health.
Yeah, first of all, amazing work that you folks are doing, and just everything you're saying just resonates with what we do at 6 Feet from the Spotlight. I've been in the industry for 20 years. In 2017, my very first job in 2007, I worked with a production designer called Alan McDonald. He was a wonderful, inspiring, creative, generous, sensitive, beautiful man. And in 2017, he took his own life. And after I'd been to the funeral, I'd found out that he was being bullied on a job. There were things going on personally as well, but he was being bullied. He was designing Mamma Mia 2, so a big film and something that you think would have some procedures in place that would, he would be able to go to someone. And I was completely shocked and devastated by that news. And I myself had left the industry years ago in 2009 and left for 4 years because I was being bullied. And I decided to step out the industry and look after my mental health. So having Alan's death happen, I went on to train as a mental health first aider. I'd never heard of Mental Health First Aid England, and someone mentioned it, so I went and trained and started conversations about my own mental health and about why there isn't anyone on sets or a HR department or anyone that someone could speak to. And I was working on His Dark Materials as a standby art director. My background is in the art department. And on the anniversary of Alan's death, another member of the film and TV industry unit, nurse Morag Webster, took her own life as well. And we were communicating a few weeks before that point, and I kind of just reached a point where I was like, that's it, enough's enough. And I started to just think, similar to what you folks do in that video said, if you don't speak up, how are you going to have change? How are you going to have something new implemented? Yeah. So I just started talking, and the amount of stories that came forward were just shocking about how this is everywhere. People being bullied or people struggling and there's no help. So I basically made my own T-shirts and went on set as a standby art director that said, "How are you?" on the front, and Mental Health First Aider on the back. And just so everybody in the crew could see that I was there, and I explained I'm not a counsellor, I'm not a therapist, what I could do to help. And it gradually started building up an idea that this should be a role, this should be a department of sorts that helps change the industry, to help people. I mean, I just, you never know. Alan and Morag could still be here today if that service was provided, basically. Yeah. And Mark could still be here today if those measures were put in place. So the idea is to try and stop that from happening ever again.
This is serious. This is very serious. It's a very serious topic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about the link between the physical and mental safety from a legal standpoint? Kind of touched on that, but yeah.
Yeah. It's, I mean, health, physical health, mental health is the same thing. It's like the Health and Safety at Work Act. It covers all of it, but it's rarely mentioning mental health. It's all there, and it's all. The Health and Safety Executive, and I think it's this year or maybe last year. Matt Longley, my colleague, is more kind of in tune with these things, but it's, productions could be prosecuted now because they're seeing stress and as a health and safety measure, as a health and safety emergency, and what that can cause. So there is no real kind of difference. Physical health, mental health, it's the same thing. Everyone in this room has mental health. Everyone in this room will fluctuate, throughout their lives or experience a mental health condition. It's harder to, if a production, for example, was prosecuted, or harder to put in place because you can't see mental health so very well. If someone's physically harmed, you can see it, and we all get a lot of, most people, everyone in this room knows, you get a lot of get well cards and everything, but mental health, we're on that cusp of that changing and having that conversation. It's exactly the same thing. And it's a legal requirement that the industry has not really followed through until now, hopefully.
Yep, hopefully. Yeah. 6 Feet have been championing a new role on set to help people directly with the challenges they are facing in their daily working lives. Can you tell us a little bit more about this role and how you've been rolling it out?
Yeah, so when I mentioned about making my own T-shirts, that was when I was like, it needs to be more than mental health first aider, because someone who's a mental health first aider is doing another job at the same time, and they're already stressed. And a lot of productions do sometimes still now, but would tick a box, like we mentioned. There's a mental health first aider on set. But that person usually, I think Beck too were trying to roll out having first ADs be covered, but they're so busy themselves. Yeah. So when I was a mental health first aider and a standby art director, I was making a few mistakes because I wasn't looking at the monitor because I was helping people. So gradually the idea was this needs to be a role on its own. And it popped in my head in 2013, gradually building it up, working with Matt Longley, co-founder of 6 Feet from the Spotlight. I'm a co-director of 6 Feet from the Spotlight. And this role is now called Wellbeing Facilitator. And we cover it's a neutral third party. And I know that the Film and TV Charity does amazing work about 2% of the freelancers in the industry felt confident to go to their line manager or line producer, HOD. And I think it was 55% that felt more confident going to a neutral third party. So we've basically developed this neutral third party to go in, be part of the crew, be on the floor, be on the ground. We help empower crew to speak up if they see things, if they're bystanders, give them tips about how to look after their mental health, put any reasonable adjustments in, put together a stress mental health risk assessments at the start. But we're basically working with production. It's not an us and them. We're going in with producers and helping create in a preventative step any of these things ever happening again. So, and we're actually, just to finish on now, I came from set yesterday, the BFI have made it somewhat mandatory that we have this role on all of their productions this year.
Amazing.
So we're covering up to 22 productions this year.
Wow.
And more coming in. So it's going to be the norm, basically. All these measures that you spoke of, and what the Film and TV charity do and what we're doing, it's going to become very normal and needed.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You also offer mental health awareness training. Who should be taking this training, and how can they do that?
Everybody should be taking this training. In a similar way to the course, the more people that do this training, the more we all have a responsibility, whether you're a runner on set, whether you're in catering, whether you're a line producer. If everybody does that, we can train people to understand and how to write stress mental health risk assessments, know what reasonable adjustments could be made. Everything is on the website, 6 Feet From the Spotlight, or 6ft.org. Is that what it is? 6ft? Yeah, from.org. So everyone should be doing it. And we advertise on our website, and it's all ready to go. And when we go on to productions and place wellbeing facilitators, we do sometimes, if there's enough prep time, which is something we need to make sure that we have time for, because a lot of this it's not done in prep. So when you're filming, it's no wonder there's nothing in place. So the sooner we get into prep, we try and ask if we can train all HODs to be IACT managers. So IACT managing is looking after and understanding your employees, and similar tips. And all our wellbeing facilitators are trained in that as well. So it's coming in, similar to what you said, coming in at the top and coming in education as well, and coming in talking to film schools, because they're also the ones that are going to bring in these new measures, and it's going to be the norm to them. We're in a massive flux, I think, and it's tipping, thank goodness.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Leo. Actually, can we just see the back of your
Let's do it.
Yeah, I have to say that.
There you go. This is what started it off.
That's what it is. Thank you.
It started off with a hashtag on social media, and thought, well, I don't know what's going to come from this, but everyone's on their screens, so that's how all of this really built as well, with communication with that.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you.
Tracy, the Film and TV charity has recently launched a toolkit to help individuals in the industry with mental health challenges, which would be especially valuable for many crew members who do not have access to this kind of support. Via people like the well-being facilitators. We're about to watch a short film, and then Tracy will talk.
That's what you movie.
Can we watch the second movie? Movie, sorry, Bill.
The Whole Picture Toolkit is important because it fulfills a need that productions have desperately needed for so long.
What needs to change in the film and TV industry is the idea that excellence is only the output of the product, rather than the people involved in producing the product. The two are exactly the same.
We have evidence that says that there is a real problem around mental health. And so this piece of work has been really crucial for pulling together all of the resources across the industry that productions can use to make sure they support their freelancers and make sure that it is a healthy production.
I fundamentally believe you do not need to compromise your health, safety and welfare to get a job or to do the job well.
The toolkit is there to create accountability and responsibility for the mental health of the freelancers working on their productions. It's a step-by-step guide that kind of handholds productions that might think that they don't know where to start.
It's a resource that everybody can use to ultimately make their place of work fairer, more inclusive and a healthier place to work.
I think it will make us all think what we can do to improve across the industry, hopefully.
Helping people have the tools, their leadership, behavioural competencies, knowing what resources are means everyone can play their part in making our workplace a better, kinder place.
You don't need a massive budget to implement this toolkit. All you need is time and empathy, because all that people want is to feel seen and heard, and they deserve that.
It will mean that people will stay longer, they will work better, they will be more productive, more creative.
I'm just excited by the whole thing, and it's been a couple of years in the making, so it's going to change the industry. It will change the industry.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep, there we go. Tracy, in this toolkit, is this toolkit aimed at individuals or productions? And how does it work in practice?
Yeah, can I just say, it's just giving me goosebumps every time every time I see that film, and and the messages and the responses and the heartfelt messages from people. So ultimately, the toolkit is aimed at productions, I would say, but obviously productions are made up of individuals, and everyone, echoing the same points as Sam and Leo, everyone has a role and responsibility to try and ensure that the production and the workplace can be the happiest and the healthiest and the kindest place that we want it to be. So I think the message that everyone has a role to play. And even if when you look at the toolkit, there are, there's things in there, or there's guidance or the resources that aren't necessarily, you think, aimed at you, or you're not in a position to maybe be able to enact on some of the work that's in there. I think ultimately the messages and the messages that we're trying to portray through the toolkit, I think is something that there's something there for everybody. I think in terms of the individuals that it's aimed at, it is very much probably more aimed at the managers, the decision makers, the influencers, the budget holders, anyone who really has a position of influence and responsibility throughout every single stage of the production. People who, again, through the way that they act, the way that they talk, how they conduct themselves, really sets the tone for this is how we want our workplace to be. So I think very much in terms of people in seniority, it really does need to start from there. How it works is it's an online toolkit, and again, it's live now, so after this, during your breaks, please do start to get yourself familiar with it and have a good look around. It's based into 3 main sections, from pre-production, production, post-production. Within those sections, there's lots of useful, helpful guidance, all being kind of supported and quality assured by our strategic partner, Mind. And then within each of those sections, there are a number of different mini-guides, and within those mini-guides, it will give you more information about different stages of production. It's filled with lots of useful tips, resources that you can download, that you can edit, and you can really make your own. And just, coming back to some of the things that we were saying, it is hopefully engaging. I think it's got to be something that engages people, that doesn't put people off straight away and go, no, that's not for me, or it looks too complicated, or it's too terrifying, because you will never then use it again. So you can dip in, you can dip out, you can work through it in a more step-by-step way, you can work through it in a linear way from pre-production, and then coming back to the importance of really building these conversations in at that preparation time, but totally appreciate that not everybody works at that stage of production. So you can come in and out at any point. There will be something in there for everybody, even if it's just some of those supportive, positive messages that remind you that this is really important, and what is it that you can do today to support the health and well-being of your colleagues.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
In this video, you mentioned that you just need time to implement this, which often means money.
Yeah.
The reality is that it means money. How would you encourage productions to fit this into their schedules and into their budgets?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, first of all, it's really important to acknowledge the apprehension that might exist around using another toolkit, another set of guidelines, and things that you've been encouraged and suggesting to use. So I think it's important to acknowledge the apprehension, the concern, and possibly some of the cynicism that may exist around here's something else that we're going to be asked to use. So I acknowledge that. I think it's also really important to remember that the context of this is about long-term sustainable change that needs to happen in the industry. The conversations we are having, the fact that we are here today talking about this, I think, is such a positive move, but this has got to be long-term change. This isn't something, we've done this one thing, there you go, now we're off to the next thing. So, and we have no expectations, we don't want to place expectations that all productions must implement all aspects of the toolkit, because I think people will just back off. They won't use it. So we really want to do this in a way where people feel supported and encouraged to take their first steps into a conversation that maybe they haven't been part of before. Maybe some people are more comfortable and confident about talking about their mental health or even using the term mental health. But again, we're all at different stages of this journey. So we have to be realistic and make sure that we take people on that journey with us. However, I do think there is at least one thing that everybody can do today, no matter who you are, what your stage of awareness is, where you work in the industry. And the one thing I encourage you to do is to look at the toolkit. Take some time over the next few weeks when you scroll through, have a look. Some things will resonate, some things you think, I can't see myself ever being able to do anything like that, but there will be some things in there. For example, the toolkit is a series of resources that can be downloaded. One of the first things you could do is download the support line for the film and TV charity. That's a poster that can be downloaded. It can be stuck up on the wall of any workplace, whether it's a van, it's a truck, it's a cafe, it's a porter cabin. So there's things that you can do straight away. If you are possibly head of department, you can think about what is your role and responsibility, again, in terms of influencing and setting a positive tone. And saying, this is how we are going to work on this production, this is important to me. And there's a number of different tools that you can use that you might want to use in there. One of them is called a Working Well With Me template, and it's a communication tool. And it's a way for me to be able to say to you, maybe Joanna, as my manager, this is what affects my mental health. This is how you will know when I am stressed. These are the type of things that I would appreciate you being able to provide for me. So it acts as that communication tool. So, for example, I like to prepare and plan. So in my memo, it says I'd like to have time to be able to think about things and to plan. I also support a brother who often suffers with his mental health. So sometimes maybe I'm not as available. So if you're a head of department or somebody in responsibility, downloading and using that tool is a really positive, powerful first step of saying, this is how we are going to work on this production, this is how important it is to me. I could go on forever about all the different tools in there.
What other support does a charity offer to help people right now?
So, again, if there's one thing you take away from what I've said, it's remembering that the Film and TV Charity has a support line, and again, you can find the details on our website. The support line is very much the gateway to the services of the charity. That's where you will be able to access further mental health support, so up to 6 free sessions of counselling. So again, everything is free, confidential, 24-hour, 7-day a week. You can access support, legal advice. You can access support about financial advice, and the charity at the moment has grants called stopgap grants. Again, recognising that sometimes there's time in between working and bills still need to be paid and train fares still need to be paid for. So we have financial assistance. And also we have a bullion advice service. So again, really kind of bringing these themes together. In March, we celebrated the 1-year anniversary of our bullion advice service. Again, that came from results of the Looking Glass survey. And we've supported over 100 people to receive, again, free, confidential, impartial, independent support and advice about what they have experienced or what they have witnessed. Doesn't necessarily mean that they have gone on to do anything with it from a reporting perspective, but the fact that they've been able to go somewhere and talk about what they've been experiencing. From an online perspective, we have a freelance wellbeing hub. So again, relevant resources for anybody, but particularly if you're a freelancer, then often there can be particular challenges to supporting yourself. So there's a whole range of information in there as well.
Great. The charity's previous research demonstrated a close link between harassment, discrimination, and mental health. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, I can. I have some stats. Again, in terms of being prepared, I will...
Liking all the notes.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. So the charity did a survey back in 2019 called the Looking Glass survey, and that's where we identified the extent of the mental health crisis that existed with the industry. Within that, we identified 3 contributing factors: capability of the industry, the conditions of the industry, and culture. And I think culture is specifically where, again, the discrimination and harassment conversation really sits. Back in 2019, the incidences of bullying behaviour were reported as high as being 56%. So 56% of people who took part in the survey said that they had either witnessed or experienced bullying behaviour. Again, 39% of women who took part in the survey reported sexual harassment. In terms of respondents from a black, Asian, minority ethnic background, 39% were more likely to feel that their experiences of bullying and harassment had not been taken seriously. Kind of fast forward to 2021 when we did the survey again, culture remains a key significant factor to that, with only 10% of people saying that they thought the industry was a mentally healthy place to work. So you can imagine that's a breeding ground for bad behaviour, toxic behaviour, and again, that's where you can really see the link between culture, mental health, discrimination and harassment.
Thank you very much, Tracy.
You're welcome.
So, the Call It app. Okay, the Call It app is a solution to put forward to try and tackle harassment and discrimination head on. Kate, talk us through how it works.
Well, first and foremost, I wouldn't say it's the solution, because actually it's these people who are doing the really hard work, and all the app does is it's a tiny tool, little mechanism, a tiny cog in the machine that signposts towards this work, and we think helps lubricate those conversations that can address some of those pretty horrific statistics that have been shared on the panel, particularly by Tracy just now. We need to try to build trust between workers and leadership. We need better leadership in our industry. And we need to all agree that we're going to take our heads out of the sand and acknowledge when there are issues on our productions and at work. And there are huge principles that sit behind this app. One of them is that anonymity is really important, but you can't have substantive outcomes with anonymity. So we believe in due process and fair process and the right of reply. We don't think we should be losing people from our industry because of naming and shaming. So what the app does, it works anonymously within the app and collects only quantitative data. So it's a simple traffic light system. How were you treated at work today? And did you experience or witness bullying or harassment at work today? It's then signposting out of the app to start that confidential conversation that you need to have with the appropriate person on set. So it actually could be Leo. If it was a production that the BFI had enabled Leo to be working on that set, it could be there. It could be to the film and TV charity. It absolutely could be to the Mark Milsome Foundation. So that anonymity versus confidentiality is something I think we get a little bit confused about, and actually you need to be clear about when something is anonymous and when something becomes confidential, and it's only when it becomes a full conversation that you should be naming and shaming. So the app does not collect any qualitative information at all. It doesn't collect anything from the end user. It's 100% anonymous within the app. The other thing that gets confusing, I think, is we need to recognize that it's the employer's duty to provide a safe place of work. It's not the individual worker's duty to file a grievance if they see anything or if they have a bad experience. Mm-hmm. We tend to put the pressure on the victim of these experiences to go through what can be a very damaging grievance process, or a process that doesn't hear them and doesn't see them, that still says, no, we disagree, you did not have that experience. And the fact is that bullying is a subjective experience. So what the app enables the individual to do is to report in a binary way, I had this experience today. Don't tell me that I was wrong. I'm hitting that red button. I'm telling you I was badly treated. I'm telling you that I experienced bullying, harassment, or discrimination, and it's a fact. Then the leadership has access to this dashboard, a live dashboard, a web-based dashboard, and they can see how many red flags they're getting. They can see which of the protected characteristics were engaged, if any, and they can see how many people were signposted out of the app, which I think can be really reassuring, knowing that you've provided, for example, the film and TV charities 0800 number. The key thing about the app and what it brings is I think it brings together three imperatives that usually are disparate, and usually there's quite a lot of space between them. So that's the fact that it's the right thing to do to support people better at work and to treat people better at work. That's the moral imperative. It's the legal thing to do. You have a legal duty to provide a safe place of work. That's the legal imperative. And workplace conflict in the UK is costing £28 billion a year to the UK economy. Poor mental health outcomes at work are costing £45 billion a year to the UK economy. So it's also a business imperative to address these issues. And we think all the app's trying to do is to remind us that those imperatives align. It's a rarefied moment where doing the right thing is actually the best thing for your creative content, and it's the best thing for your bottom line for your business. So all the app is doing, and if everyone, I did not plan, so you can see all my notes here, but if everyone has one of these cards, you can download the app on the App Store or at Google Play. it's much better for you to just use them for me to explain to you how it works. It's literally fewer taps than the first line of your Wordle. And if everybody did it on every production, every day, you start to accumulate all of this data that you can start to have a bit of a landscape. Oh, we're having very bad days on Thursdays. What's happening on that day? It might be very obvious. You might be able to say, well, we had a serious catering issue on Tuesday, and that's why we've had so many red flags. And it may be something that's more pernicious and that's growing over a period of time. But what it enables you to do is to take action, to open up lines of communication, to signpost to support so you mitigate some of those very, very serious risks. I mean, Leo's spoken about 2 lives lost to our industry because of a failure to provide support and open up lines of communication. Even just to acknowledge to somebody, this is important to me and I will help you. I help you go in the right direction. Really, our hope is that everybody starts to use this, as we've talked about, with the training and with Leo's work and with the film and TV charity, so that we can set a standard in our industry, and when there are breaches of that standard, there could be consequences. Right now, there can't really be any consequences.
Yeah.
Can I just add something?
Yeah, of course.
Just, it's important to say people's names, and that's why I mentioned Alan McDonald and Morag Webster, and I missed one name, and that is, quick, take the call. That is Michael Harm, location manager. He was another member, and Matt knew him. I try and mention their names all the time because it's so important, and that's.
But if we were to list all the names,
yeah, there's many more.
Yeah. For a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And it is really important, it's a huge privilege to us to be part of the work of these 3 other organizations because we are a teeny thing. I mean, we have the 3 freelancers who built this app, 2 producers and 1 director. We haven't known each other for a year yet. And we've had the app in pilot phase since October. We're now in proof of concept phase, and we're moving into arts and culture. So we started with our first live venue on Tuesday, actually, that they're going to be piloting for the whole arts and cultural sector.
Amazing.
We want every place of business to have this, but it started in our brilliant business in film and TV. And it started there because I got a bit sick of everyone saying what a terrible place it was to work. And what I realized we need to do is recognize that it's a small business, it's a growing business, it needs people to come into it, young people that will not be treated the way that I was treated when I was a young person in this industry. And therefore it should be the best place to work. Yeah. It's full of creative, intelligent, ambitious people. It should be absolutely the best place to work in our industry. We should feel safe and fulfilled and valued in this industry. Instead, we feel minimized, we feel unseen and unheard. And that just can't persist, not least because I've got 2 children in film school.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. We don't have enough time for a Q&A question, but I do want to ask a question to everybody here. One thing that we haven't really addressed is the support of those with different physical abilities working on production. How can your different tools and organizations help filmmakers with physical disabilities and in turn new people with physical disabilities join the industry? And also, is this response effective to those with neurodivergent? So, going on. Anybody?
I think the way that we've designed the toolkit is we've tried to do it in a way that you're placing the person at the centre and at the heart of how you work. So it's really, again, about we have a mini guide. We have one of the guides, mini guide 6. I think it's about understanding the individual needs. I don't think that's quite the right words, but again, we have a section in there which is all about recognising that everyone is different, and that if you want to make sure that you are supporting and encouraging the best out of people, is make sure you put them at the heart of that process. So making sure, again, you have a conversation with people as they come on board about what are your individual needs, how do you like to work, what can I do to make things better for you, more accessible for you, as well as we've got other sections in the toolkit which talks very specifically about the legal obligations around reasonable adjustment. So the way that we've designed it is very much about recognising that we are all different and have differences, and how do we make sure that we kind of create a workplace that everyone can, has an equal opportunity to succeed and fulfil. And I think the same applies then when you talk about neurodiversity. It's about placing the person at the centre and understanding what works best for them. And again, the Working Well With Me template is a really fantastic way for people to be able to articulate and communicate. Maybe they prefer to write it down, or again, providing different ways for people to talk about their needs.
It's similar to what we do in terms of like the well-being plan we give out at the beginning. We ask crew to fill it in, so it's similar to what you said about having that communication at the beginning. What are your needs? What reasonable adjustments could be made? I'd never even heard of reasonable adjustments until like 2 or 3 years ago. So you're putting in place anything that can help someone regardless of any physical or mental disability.
Yeah.
And this industry is amazing and full of wonderful, diverse people. So this should be catered to actually having a healthy, safe working environment and be looked after. Because it's about the talent and the creativity and the vision rather than, that's the thing you want to concentrate on, and it's open to everybody.
Can I just add that I absolutely agree it's about communications, and the app can only help build those communications. It cannot solve the problem itself, but you will not build trust until there's confidence that action will be taken at the other end of it. So opening up those communications is essential. Then what we have to demonstrate is that when you filled out your wellbeing form, you've revealed perhaps something that makes you feel very vulnerable. I have an invisible disability. I have advanced ovarian cancer. I found it difficult to get here this morning. This building's massive, and I walked around the whole thing, and it was but those kind of communications, there's no point in asking people to tell you about them and to make themselves vulnerable if you do not intend to absolutely take action. And we must take action, because those are the skills that we need. We know that there are a proven case for creativity when it comes to diversity in creative content. There's a proven case when it comes to business. We absolutely need everybody to feel that they have a place within our work.
I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say the point I think that Kate made about, this is a moral issue, but it's also a commercial issue. This is the creative industries are growing. I mean, there are so many productions, so many, Pinewood's growing, Shepperton's growing. There are so many productions taking place. We need to encourage as many people into this industry as possible. That's a commercial decision, not just a moral decision, which is why we're here. But those that are making the decisions, the financial decisions, they need to encourage more people into the industry. Everybody, whatever disability they have, has to be able to feel safe on set and working here.
And it needs to be, I know we're running out of time, it needs to be more than just a tick boxing exercise. You can't just be, we're complying, there you go. It's have that conversation, build the trust, and it needs to come off paper and into action.
Wow, what a fantastic panel. Right? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So much that you've been saying that we just hit some, there's so much more that we have to talk about, but time is of the essence. Thank you so much for all of you to come here and have this conversation with us. Thank you for everybody who has been attending. Please come to the talent bar at stand E10 to ask your follow-up questions, because I know that you do probably have some questions. And today at 5 p.m. there will be the talent bar will be hosting an event with 6 feet from the spotlight that everybody is welcome to as well. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you to your wonderful panel.
Thank you.